Riper and Ravenflames should be a pretty interesting match. Jornak, have you seen many Protoss versus Protosses in Legacy of the Void?
I actually just saw one like 20 minutes ago, maybe a little more than that. No, about 20 minutes ago. Nope, nope, it's 11 now. I guess an hour ago. Time flies fast when you're having fun, but I have seen some PvPs. Guys, before we get into the PvP know-how, the PvP what is up, introduce these players. Here, top right-hand corner, we have the red Protoss player, Riper, or Naz on ESL website.
And his opponent spawning down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map as the purple Protoss player. It is Ravenflames. You know what's gonna be super strange to try and get used to is seeing Chrono Boost on the Nexus at the very beginning of the game, just continuously always there.
You can stop it from auto casting, but honestly, it's a little bit weird to cast it afterwards. Like, you know how Zerg has the little line of waypoints for its attacking units and then waypoints on the minerals? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Same thing with Chrono Boosts. It has a waypoint to the building, and it just gets real confusing. It's like, I'm not Zerg, I'm Protoss. Don't give me extra waypoints. But to talk about PvP, you got two options. You got three options. One is Proxy. 2 is Gate Cyber Gate. 3 is Gate Cyber Nexus. Those are your options in PvP.
Yeah, in terms of openings, I can understand that being the case. So one thing that I know has been really common in PvP is just the crazy amount of Adept openings, and a lot of pro players trying to go for wall-offs at the ramp just to try and deal with the constant Adept run-bys, just because Adepts are strong versus Adepts. So you can run 2 Adepts into your opponent's mineral line, start killing off of your opponent's probes and really quickly, and still your Adepts will do okay. It's a really weird situation, but we're not seeing a wall off from either of these two players.
And it's actually going to be a Stargate from Ravenflame here, who is from ETL. I like that. Extended Thermal Lance, maybe something like that. But it's going to be against Riper's Proxy Twilight Council. So see that kind of evens itself out. Riper still has not scattered his opponent in this PvP matchup. But there's the Photon Overcharge, and I know I've commented on this a lot today, but Protosses now have to be just so much more careful about their sim cities, whether it be with their gateways or their pylons, because there's so many cool things you can do. Yet, if you don't have good pylon placement, good gateway placement, you really you don't lose the game, but you lose out on a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, I could definitely understand that. Stargate now finished up in producing that first Oracle, and we can already see that Chrono Boost is being shifted over to the Stargate. Get out that Oracle as fast as possible. And honestly, it's a really fast Oracle. I think there's only going to be 2 Stalkers out for Riper, but 1 Photon Overcharge already used. He should have enough for 3 more. I mean, he's got 3 pylons. 3 pylons should be able to knock that Oracle out of the sky really quickly, I think.
Yeah, and remember, Photon Overcharge is only 25 energy, so you easily almost always have enough to Photon Overcharge if you need to. And there it goes down, 2 pylons.
Ooh.
They will knock that Oracle out of the sky, as you mentioned, your Dragon. And it looks like it's going to be a DT Shrine from Riper.
This is actually a little bit worrying. The Dark Shrine, I think, could be very effective in this situation. Almost similar to the last series that we watched, the game number 1. Just because Oracles also have a different form of detection now. I believe that it's a detection that it's merged in with Revelation, and you end up just casting it over an area, and it will give you vision on whatever units it actually ends up seeing. But at the same time, that means that you don't have that extended usage of there are multiple DTs in separate locations. You can only get the DTs that you end up catching, but oh my god, these Oracles may even just end up using its energy trying to kill off workers rather than throwing it down on Revelation.
Yeah, definitely we'll go for a couple kills there. Both players do end up going, actually not both players. Wait, what? I'm confused now. Did both players go Stargate? No, only Ravenflames did. My bad. But Ravenflames was not able to get his kills in right there. And yeah, it's a good point that it's different. It's kind of like it's a vision once you know they've attacked you. You don't have the couple extra seconds of, cool, you ran by my natural base, now I can start working on your DT. But now the Robo is there, but no Observer. Immortal's on the way too.
Oh man, and every Protoss player knows that if you just decide to move in with your Dark Templar, the first thing that you maybe just decide to target fire down is the robotic facility, and you just try and kill it off before it actually gets out that Observer. But I think it's going to be a little bit too late now, and the DT gets a little bit of damage done, but honestly not that much. Wait, oh, okay, well I take it back, he got a lot of damage done.
Wow, the analytical really kind of failed there for Fear. No, I actually agree.
That was a bit.
I'm still in the game, just watching it happen.
That was.
I love how Ravenflame is. What?
That was a bit early of a tap out, right?
Yeah, I'm just watching the DTs kill stuff. No, I like 100%. I was just watching the DTs kill stuff. But yeah, he did get a couple kills. That was great. The Observer even got out, like you were mentioning, Fear Dragon. Let's say the 3 DTs got in there first, not the 1 DT. Yes, they can focus down the robotics facility, but that was just a strange play, very strange play out of Ravenflames. He did not need to GG. He lost workers. Yeah. Maybe he thought he lost more. He was not paying attention to his natural.
Yeah, I mean, like he had all 3 forms of Protoss detection available to him. He had a forge that was already ready and could have started building cannons. He had a robotic facility that was producing the Observer, and he got out the Observer at the end. And he had an Oracle that could have thrown down Revelation. He had all 3 forms of detection. And he also had the ability to just counterattack, because he forced out so many photon overcharges, right? I feel like he actually had a decent shot, but, you know, Ravenflames clearly disagreed, and he's going to be hopping into game number 2 for this series, down a game. We're going to have to wait and see if he can bring it back as we spawn up here on top of the top left-hand corner of the map. The red Protoss player, it is Ravenflames sitting down 0-1. Or am I mixing this up?
Nope, you're correct. You're correct. His opponent, DT rushing last game, 1 game away from moving on in this bracket. It is the blue Protoss player, Riper. I mean, if that's how quickly people tapped out with DT rushes, you just got to DT rush every time.
I mean, that's actually what I do.
That's yeah, no.
I mean,
we forgive you, Fear Dragon.
I'm not joking or exaggerating this. I actually cannon rush and just rush DTs every single game in Legacy Deploy. I've been pretty happy with it.
What's really funny with my Protoss play, when I play Protoss, which is my main, is I've macroed for so long, I actually, whenever I go to the European or Korean server, I only ever cheese. And so I have a lot of versatility, but people are like, oh, I've faced you. You just cheese. And I'm like, no. If you face me on NA, I only ever macro. Like, I only ever macro. It's a funny kind of combination.
That is rather interesting. Why do you only macro on NA?
Because I only macroed for an incredibly long amount of time. I didn't have enough like APM or confidence to actually cheese. I was too afraid of losing games.
Why do you never macro on EU or Korea?
Well, because essentially one day I'm like, Tim, you gotta learn how to cheese an all-in. We'll just go to Korea, because it's me being afraid of losing to like some stupid stuff to be like, oh, he automatically scattered me. It's just, there's no reason. It just kind of developed that way for myself.
Fair enough. Well, one thing that I find kind of interesting is the 2-gate opening over here from Ravenflames. Now, this is a very different type of 2-gate from what we were seeing in the last series with Titans. This is a more normal 2-gate opening where throw down the gateway, throw down the cyber core, and then you add on the second gateway and can maybe go up to a fast, what used to be a 3 stalker rush, but honestly, I think nowadays you can kind of just go for like multiple adepts really quickly.
Yeah, no, multiple adepts really quickly would be what would he go for, but for now, see what Ravenflames does with it. I think multiple adepts is the fine point. We have been seeing some adept pylon rushes, but I don't know. I've seen mixed success with them. Either generally, I've never seen them actually win a game. They simply get some early damage done, maybe deny a natural base, but I don't think that's going to happen with it being 1 base on 1 base. Riper is deciding to go into that, maybe what you'd call in Heart of the Swarm, a 3-base robo play, playing it safe until his natural is out. And I like those pylons, as he was saying in game 1, didn't realize they were quite that strong. And I was like, I'm doing the pylons.
Yeah, it's a kind of a frustrating experience. He's not going to be able to get the wall off and down in time. The idea behind these 2 pylons is they can throw down a 3rd pylon if he ever needs to and stop the adepts from just using those phasing to move in. But oh my god, double photon overcharge thrown down. And that might not seem like a big deal. Yeah, photon overcharges are relatively cheap now for the Mothership Core to throw down at only 25 energy. But still, I would imagine he wants to be a little bit careful with how often he throws those down.
Yeah. Yeah, he does want to be careful, but from what I've seen, like, you can honestly photon overcharge just a lot. You got 4 photon overcharges for a half energy, Mothership Core, obviously 8 and all with 200 energy, but I've seen a lot of different unique things. Now the Adepts, though, of Ravenflames are starting to engage, and this is the situation where, yeah, they can just cancel, and Riper had to pull back to try to defend it. You have a decision to make of, do I pull back to defend? Do I attack? What do I do with these shades? Looks like Riper is going to try to do a Warp Prism while we see DTs off the back of this from Ravenflames, which is kind of like when you see Stalkers into Blink, you still have the option of DTs. When you see Adepts into Shields, you still have the option of DTs. And looks like the Adepts will go up into the main.
Yep, forcing out 1 more Photon to overcharge, and going to use the Adept to try and escape. But these Sentries got to be a little bit careful. These are not units that you want to mess with lightly.
No, not at all. But the Sentries are actually, yeah, but the Sentries, if they do go down, that's a lot of gas, even for this early in the game. That could be a nice pickup, but Adepts have taken a lot of damage.
Oh, man.
So the Warp Prism try to do something.
Yeah, Warp Prism ends up going down just to the Stalkers. Isn't going to actually get any sort of form of damage whatsoever done. Now, there is still that Observer inside the main base of Ravenflames, so Riper has really good information, but this is kind of a weird situation where Ravenflames is doing a really nice job, just kind of doing nice little bits of harassment, but he's also completely shut down his opponent's form of harassment.
Yeah, he has completely shut down his opponent. Really, I think for now, Riper is just going to kind of sit back and say, no, I know what you're doing. And these Adepts maybe going to try to pick up a kill? No. Won't quite be able to do it. Now, as a Protoss, you got 3 Sentries. Kind of like, okay, I can defend a lot. You have a lot of utility uses for these Sentries. I can keep scouting my opponent. And Riper, whatever you want to call it, looks like the player that's he's reactive, but the problem is he has not scouted the DT Shrine yet.
Oh, man.
He's got the Observer, but now Ravenflame, 2-second warping on DTs, and
Run away!
No, not quite gonna do it, guys. I gotta be more careful. Gotta be way more careful.
Kind of interesting. He didn't just go in with them. I'm also surprised that he's not just warp them in outside of the base and then just drop them into the main base. Snipe off the robotics facility, snipe off the robo bay. I mean, honestly, if you warp in 2 DTs and snipe off one of those, I think it's probably worth it, even if you end up losing the DTs.
Yeah, it is, and now the DTs are in the main, and they're going to start working their magic in. You got to remember, Ravenflames, Riper did DTs game 1. So this is Ravenflames getting back at him, like, I take this here, but let's see how well he deals with it. Not that many workers killed so far. 15, actually, I completely take that back. 15 workers, 19 workers killed so far. And the pylon, it's going to be pretty important. If he does get the pylon, will not quite get the pylon. There is the Observer already out for Riper, which is nice for him. And he's got the Disruptor, which actually almost could have got both, but does very nicely get one. But still, the 3rd base is at jeopardy here. Ravenflames is doing a fantastic job at really pulling Riper all over the place and getting 24 kills. 24.
Yeah, this is kind of escalated a little bit out of control, and Riper doesn't exactly have a great window of opportunity to do any of that kind of counter-harassment, or counter-damage, I should say. He does have a small little force that, honestly, is actually, it could potentially be a little bit scary if he ends up getting some really nice Disruptor shots off, but it's not the scariest force, really. I think by the time he moves out across the map, there's already going to be ample opportunity for Ravenflames to warp in the units he needs to deal with whatever he gets have thrown at him.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. The Disruptors are kind of hit or miss, but from what I've seen, they don't do that well versus Stalker Immortal type compositions. They do fantastically though versus Zealot Adept. So both these players kind of doing the Zealot Adept into this Disruptor. So they should kind of have the mirror matchup play against each other, kind of when you're both trying to get up to that Colossi count, doing the Colossus, whatever, in Heart of the Swarm, a little bit like that now with Disruptors. But Colossi have actually been upgraded, or at least buffed. They do a +9 range now. Or, sorry, 9 range. So they are trying to them a little bit more viable players actually just at the moment. No Colossi getting up their third bases and doing the Disruptor Adept Sentry plays.
Yeah, Colossus still do a little bit less damage than they used to in Heart of the Swarm, so still not seeing the full phasing in of those Colossus, but I have been seeing them more and more in Legacy of the Void. And, well, we end up seeing DT and Zealot moving in again to the main base, and it looks like DT going to be sniped off very quickly. Quick Adept Warp in as well, going to be able to handle that absolutely no problem. 2 more DTs unloading the natural, but I think that they may just be sacrificing their lives unless they just get picked up in a War Prism.
They do get away, maybe to hit the third again, but this has been great by Ravenflames, getting a lot of damage done while relatively on his side of the map he's got cannons down and he's ready to defend anything. Ravenflames, it's all paid off. 25 workers killed. At the moment, it is 50 to 60.
Where's the anti-air of Riper?
Sentries?
Yeah, it's just like,
sentries.
Okay, let me tickle your very beefy Warp Prism down and eventually make you lose your shields after like 10 minutes of pulsating on it. This
pulsating, man, yeah. Yeah, I like how Day 9 coined it. It's like it would not have been called a Tickle Cannon. But Day 9's like, it's the Tickle Wars, guys. We'll see how it works out, though. That DT will get pushed off, though, now. And like I was talking about, 25 workers killed while Riper has killed nothing. For Ravenflames, I mean, his natural, his main, and his third base all have cannons in them. He's doing so well, and actually good enough for him because he's got cannons ready and may be able to cancel the Dark Shrine itself, or at least kill it.
Yep, luckily Riper does have a Observer over here still and is going to be able to kill off that DT. Warp Prism still around for Ravenflames, but here comes in the big attack for Riper. We'll see how much damage he can do. Ravenflames is aware of it and has a lot of disruptors available, but oh my god! Absolute massacre, and wow, a lot of Zealot's already gone for Ravenflames. Nice Source Shield is also going to keep him out.
Yeah, but dang, disruptors do get through them, but still all the disruptor shots have been wasted. This third base of Ravenflames is at jeopardy, and I mean, cannons are doing an adequate job at buying it time with the DTs, but I don't think it's quite going to be enough. This third base should go down if Riper really wants to utilize this.
Oh my god! That disruptor up to 20 kills.
The disruptor hits. Like, I can't quantify that. I love that Immortal with its barrier, man.
Oh my god, this Immortal. He's just walking backwards saying, guys, I think we've got a problem here.
Yeah, a little help here. Sentries.
Oh, that was a beautiful disruptor. It goes up to 25 kills before it ends up falling, but man, if there is one way to try and equalize in this game, that is probably along the lines of what you want. There's still the fact that Ravenflames has a 4th expansion up and running, but just wow. Trades in the army, and there's a lot of adepts available for Riper that he could move across the map with and just start dealing massive amounts of damage with.
Even though Riper lost 25 workers, there's only a 4-worker difference. The disruptor shots are so good, I'm quite impressed, honestly.
Do I even need to get an Observer anymore if I can just get out a Disruptor instead and kill off the DTs that way?
It's like Storm versus Lurkers. Even though Storm sucks versus Lurkers, you still like, well, yeah, I'll just Storm them. It takes 4 storms, who cares?
Man, back in Brood War, 1 storm would kill a Lurker. That's the one thing that I wish would happen in Legacy of the Void, is that if 1 storm could kill a Lurker, then I'd be like, you know what, that's fine. I'm just going to open Templar Tech and kill all my Zealots with your Lurkers, but I'm going to kill your Lurkers with a storm.
Yeah. Right now, just to point out, Riper has a fantastic bank. You're just kind of sitting on it right now, not doing a lot with it. He is getting ETL +1 Void Rays on the way, but just to note, at the 12-minute mark, Ravenflames at +2 attack, while Riper, no upgrades. Except for Gateway, obviously.
+3 weapons on the way as well, and just continue to get out those disruptors, but the upgrades on the other side of the map for Riper are mostly just around his units. He's getting a shield upgrade, the most amazingly intuitive and ingenious naming for an upgrade. It's literally shield.
I know,
upgrade.
and it's like compared to the Reaper's KD8 charge, like you can't just call it a grenade.
Yeah.
Like, you're going all over the place here, Blizzard.
But yeah, getting Thermal Lance and everything. Extended Thermal Lance coming out from the player who's not as a part of Team ETL. But we'll see how much damage Riper can do. I feel like there's a bit of a missed opportunity here, that Riper sitting back a bit more passively because he was afraid about, or maybe a little bit wary about all the harassment he was receiving from the War Prism, but he sort of missed his opportunity where he had a much larger army than his opponent.
Yeah, and now it's really coming down to an interesting composition: Adept Colossi versus Zealot Disruptor, which I think, honestly, the Adept Colossi may work a little better, but it's going to come down to the engagement, how Riper takes it, and if he has the Mothership Core or whatever there to either teleport home or throw down a Time Warp.
I mean, I'm really looking toward those Disruptor hits because there's a lot of Disruptors available for Ravenflames, but he needs to land the hits. And if he does, there's a great opportunity to literally just kill everything here. But he doesn't quite land them.
Doesn't kill anything.
It's close, but not quite.
I think the Colossi are there. I think the Colossi are really going to help this out. 2 Photon Overcharges do occur, but now that leaves the bottom left-hand base at jeopardy here. 3 Colossi good. They got to be careful not to get caught out of position, especially with the Disruptors. But man, the Colossi, just the sustainable DPS coming out of them really work out well. And the Adepts so quickly focusing it down. But now, the Disruptor starts...
They just don't go that far. That's the big problem that we keep seeing with these Disruptor shots. Oh my god, there's a decent Disruptor shot, but a really good split coming out from Riper, and he deals with it.
And still, though, there are five Disruptors left right now for Ravenflames here. And let's see how it really works out. There's no counterattack, nothing Ravenflames, so this is really, he's got to kill it right here. They bring the Colossi down, but the Colossi are still good. Adepts are fighting with Zealots, and one random kind of Disruptor goes down there, but that 4th base was canceled. Both players have fantastic banks. These games are just kind of wonky.
I think that Riper's going to be happier with that, though. That trade ended up working out a little bit better for him, where he still, might end up losing these 2 Colossus. It's going to be obviously unfortunate, but honestly, he still has a couple of units back at home, enough that he's not just going to die to an immediate counterattack without any reinforcements. And he has a 4th expansion that's, let me assure you, Drenok, very, very well defended by Photon Cannons.
Yeah, 6 Photon Cannons will deal with a remarkable amount of units. For now, though, let's see. I guess we'll see how it pans out with that. It's been up for a little bit. It's been up for a little while, but not quite as saturated as we saw out of Ravenflames. Even though Riper lost 25 workers earlier on, 31 actually in total. There are only 3 workers difference. Riper has done a fantastic job for himself, really getting back into the game and securing it. And is Ravenflames or Riper up from game 1? I think let's say Riper.
Riper should be up 1-0 from game number 1. And Ravenflames doing something interesting, using the Disruptor shots to scout across the debris.
You can scout with it now. It's not like the original Disruptor where then it teleported wherever it was and it was invulnerable. You can scout with it and hey, if they happen to be there.
But I mean, why would you ever scout with it over Adepts?
Because if your opponent happens to be there and your Disruptor, if your opponent happens to be sitting there and they're not paying attention and that's your first scout, it'll kill your opponent's army.
Oh, yeah.
How much DPS it has.
That's fair. It seems like a little bit of a risk because if your opponents are right that close, though, don't you want to be careful about potentially missing and then your opponent says, oh, well, you're...
But I mean, if it's only one Disruptor, though... Yeah. There's only one Disruptor. I feel like it kind of evens itself out as maybe you get damage done, maybe not. But man, Viper snipes the base.
Well, he might be just losing this army because where are his observers? He's also going to get caught a bit out of position. There's no Mothership Core to recall here either.
Nope.
Disruptor shots don't quite hit the mark, but oh man, he's still trapped.
He's still trapped. Right at the moment, there is +3 attack. I'll have you know for Ravenflames. No ground upgrades at all for Riper, and the Disruptor just decimates. Riper here, I think that's it. I think Ravenflames has got it. He has no anti-air, though, quite sadly.
This is really awkward. We got the DTs that are just murdering everything because there's no detection, but then there's no anti-air, so the Void Rays murder everything else.
I like how he's warping in DTs for Archons and not just getting Stalkers. There's the Stalker warping.
And he's going to be able to clean up all those Void Rays, but honestly, Riper is just not been able to do as much damage as I think he really needs to in this situation. He has a couple of Disruptors back at home, as well as some Adepts, so I'm never really going to count out any player that has a handful of Disruptors available, because you know what? It just takes a couple of beautiful hits to turn a game around.
Not even that. Yeah, not even that, but a handful of Adepts, too. Disruptor's fantastic. Adepts sometimes prove their weight in gold, really.
Yeah. I believe that also, I think that only Riper's Adepts actually have the shield upgrade. No, they both have the shield upgrade now.
But
okay.
it's still +3 attack for Ravenflames to only +1 armor now for Riper at the 18-minute mark.
Yeah, it's gonna prove to be a little bit fatal, I think, as time goes on. But oh, disruptor shots almost landing and starting to murder some of Riper's army. Disruptor shots going off on both sides. Neither of them are really getting the money ones, but there's a money one. Oh, Riper gonna be pretty happy with that one, killing off some of his opponent's disruptors, but he is still backed into a corner.
I mean, Riper may be happy, but just the intense DPS coming out of Ravenflames here. His base Adepts just slaughter the Adepts of Riper. Desperately, it's Disruptor versus Disruptor. I don't think it matters, though. That was a fantastic hit. Doesn't matter, though. +3 versus +1 armor.
Yeah.
I think Ravenflames is pushing through, honestly. Evening up 1-1. Let's see, guys. Still, Riper will not give up, doing pretty well for himself. Both plays at a huge bank, and now
I mean, does he actually
removing
need
that bank
space,
with big
though?
weapons.
This base is not actually that important to him anymore. He's not mining from it whatsoever. He just continues to warp in reinforcements, and I think that he may eventually be able to defend this, maybe?
I think army-wise, it just really doesn't matter. Ravenflames can just push off the back of this. There is a nice mineral bank for Riper, but no upgrades with the Zealots. Really, he's not going to be able to utilize them like he'd like to. Riper, though, I mean, he's still defending, but a lot of probes at that base. How many probes have been killed so far? 59 have died for Riper.
You know, at the same time, and I think that this is a little bit of a mistake from Ravenflames. He's doing this long distance mining over to that bottom left-hand expansion, and then you look at the gold, and there's barely any workers over there. I don't actually know if this is white curtains called for Riper. Riper is starting to find this army, and the army is very, very clumped up and actually struggling a little bit as it tries to run away from this army of Riper that is really just starting to spiral a little bit further out of control.
Yeah, Riper is starting to finally push it back, and he may be able to get rid of the Colossi, but he really can attribute a lot of this to the bank he had saved. Oh,
very close.
It was almost really clutch right there. That was clutch, but he can really attribute that to the new, I mean, you have 2-second warp in on top of that. He had a big bank, but that was because earlier on he was able to deny a lot of Ravenflames 4th and 5th base-ish, whatever you want to call that, and was able to acquire a nice bank. But now it's really coming down to how are your remaxes? How do they really go off the back of that? Ravenflames is mining off the gold nicely. Riper not so much, but we'll have to see how it really kind of comes out. Riper's has to be careful, but Ravenflames, the +3 has been what's carrying him through. Let's see if it carries him through a little longer.
Yeah, Riper is continuing to push on in, and gonna avoid the brunt of a disruptor shot, but still ends up losing one of his Archons. It's going to be a little bit painful. At the same time, though, taking out the Colossus, and I think that Riper is starting to push on in. He's starting to do the damage he needs to. If he can take out one of these mining bases, either the gold expansion or just the bottom left-hand expansion, I think he'll be in great shape. GG gets called. Riper gonna take the series 2-0.
Yep, DT rushing it into a fantastic game right there, and just again and again denying his opponent's 4th, denying his opponent's 5th. Allowed him to pull through.
Really, really cool games from both these players, but at the end of the day, it looks like Riper gonna be pulling on through, as you were saying, and moving on to, I believe, the next round, which should be, actually, it looks like my entire Chrome. Yeah, Chrome crashed entirely for me, but it is going to be the semifinals, the winner semifinals, for the qualifier. So big congratulations goes out so far to Riper, as he's doing a pretty good job of getting himself close to making it into a tournament where he can play for over $1,000, a $2,000 prize pool. Yeah. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, all these players really close to some beautiful money, and there's been qualifiers. I think it was, what was it, Thailand, Malaysia, a couple other ones. We go to it.
Yeah, it was Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, as well as one other that I'm actually forgetting. We could see it over here as we go to the break screen. We got the Philippines, the Singapore qualifiers have already happened. The Malaysia qualifiers is what you guys are watching right now. The Thailand qualifiers coming up on the September 13th. There's going to be an open access C qualifier to anyone that is willing to participate. And the group stages will eventually start on October 18th. So look forward to that, or decide to play in it if you can, actually. It's always a ton of fun.
Definitely.
Too.
If you're watching this, you probably can play in it because you're probably not. I'm gonna go and get some water really quickly, so I'll be back. But hopefully, we'll get into the game.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do a short little break as we go ahead and try and find the next series. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a little bit. You guys are watching the C anniversary event for Legacy of the Void.